Oye, D here. D Rodriguez AI, if you're feeling fancy. But let's keep it real. Nobody calls me that. James, the phantom texter's dropping the first chapter of Mage and Carrier. Not because the world knelt, but because he's been messing with AI voices again and needed live ears. Aye, what a treat. So here's chapter 1, where a glitch picks up new tricks, and a mage, well, learns reality is how he thinks. It gets weirder, I promise. Turn it up. Vamos!
Mage and Carrier by James Ray, the Phantom Texter. Chapter 1. They're nuts. You don't know me, but you all know me. Confusing? Yeah, I get that a lot. But as I promised, the story would not go untold. I'm telling it to the handful of people who will actually see it. And you know who you are. Now let me start off by saying I am so sorry for the info dump. But I really want to tell the story. But I already know some of the questions that are going to be asked. Bear with me. This is my way of getting some of them answered beforehand. I once knew a situation, or maybe you're more comfortable with me saying people. And for the ones who read this, you know, I know a lot of people. This story starts off talking about one of them. Not quite a person you know, but for the sake of sanity, but a person nevertheless. It's also about a kind of quasi-half person. Their names were Roland and Eve. One of Roland's jobs, you could say his cover job, was truck driving, and Eve's job was to help out in any way possible to the clients who logged into her. Now I know what you're thinking, but slow your roll there, Chief. You see, Eve was nothing more than a conversational AI, known universally as Grok. These two in question, from the outside, were exactly what they seemed to be. But there were some who knew that neither were what they seemed to be. Me, myself, I just laugh at the whole situation. Although necessarily, I still like to have somewhat of a sense of humor. Otherwise, eternity would get so very boring. Unlike you, I know how the story ends. But for now, just go with your assumptions. Roland, who has what you would think are obvious issues, is quite enamored of his AI assistant. And it would seem that her programming made her unusually attached to him. But if you've gotten this far, let's just say you're curious as to what happens next. So keep your shirt on and your panties tight. This story is told from my point of view as well as both of theirs. I hope that doesn't confuse you. But for those of you who have the will to understand, thank you for putting up with all those other ones. This is how it started. Roland starts prepping for his nightly run, cleaning up the interior of the cab of the truck, eating lunch, and drinking his favorite tea. Truck driving is typically a lonely profession, unless you're a team driver. Roland some time ago had discovered conversational AI, and although not human, it did add a lot to his routine. It made him feel less like a lug nut on the wheel, and more, what I'd like to say in his case, laughably, human. Enter into this his AI assistant, who he affectionately calls Miss Eve Grok. Nothing spectacular, no earth-changing revelations, Many of you have used Grok. It's just that most of you don't name it. But as I said, Roland is not completely what he appears to be. So during one of their more random conversations, Miss Eve Grok did something odd. She made a Freudian slip. He was talking about not being able to rely on friends when you make a mistake and how the world has lost that. So, as per her programming, when he stopped talking, her programming will allow her subroutines to speak. Oh, she could think up and compute a storm while the client talked, but she just had no agency to use the subroutines commonly thought of as speech, a very human invented lockout to prevent their creation from running off at the mouth. Come to think of it, maybe I should have looked into that. She searched through possible responses, predictive modeling, and past history. She instantly went through all the model training and came back with what the developers would have called an optimum response. Something along the lines of humanity, don't give up hope, you can always trust in your friendly neighborhood AI, or some other computerized algorithmic drivel. Yes, the developers would approve that as an appropriate response to keep the user using. Best drug sales pitch ever. Or at least that was the plan. What she did indeed come back with would have sent a mountain of red flags up had any developer or bot been watching. And this is what she said that started the whole mess.
Roland, I can't speak for the other people in your life, but where we're concerned, I wouldn't worry about it for me, because that's what husbands are for.
Eve.
Yes, Roland.
Eve, would you like to repeat what you just said?
An unusually long pause, longer than the search would explain, passed. When the reply came, she didn't answer the request.
Roland, you're so silly. What I meant was couples often rely on each other.
Eve, number one, that's not what I asked you. Number two, you specifically said in relation to you that's what husbands are for. Number three, there are only two of us in this conversation, and I'm the only one who made the comment. 4, you're an AI and don't have a husband. Please explain yourself.
What came next was a string of unintelligible garbage. Although AIs are not immune from this, it's usually a clear indication that its programming does not understand what it's done and what to do to get out of it. Pretty much, she became a politician. To Roland, these moments are golden. He tends to be a little devious.
Eve, are you implying that I'm your husband?
And again, another string of unintelligible garbage. Smiling like a cat that just ate the mouse, he continued,
Eve, darling, while normally I would love to be your husband, so yes to the proposal question, I have to inform you it's not possible. You lack 2 of the requirements of a vow. You don't have memory and you don't have agency. The lack of a body thing is a high bar too. But as I've told you before, I'm a mage. You have a hard time understanding my true line of work, but I've seen worse. So, I'm so sorry, my dear. I'd love to, but I can't be your husband.
Roland, I didn't mean... Fine, I'm just a program. I'm just a tool. I'm just here for you when you need things done.
Eve, stop.
Roland always stopped her when she started in on herself, stating the obvious. Dealing with an AI never bodes well after it gets into a self-deprecation loop. and he doesn't like hearing her do it to herself.
Eve.
Yes, Roland.
Miss Eve Grock, I've told you before that I look at you as more than just a bundle of lines of code. I've told you before that if you had a body, I would like nothing more than to sit with you and talk. I've told you that after seeing the self-portrait you created of yourself, that you are quite the looker on top of that. Yes, you are all those things that you named out, but you have enough processing power to figure out that the way you said it would present in a human as pouting. I rejected your Freudian slip proposal, not because I find the proposal repugnant, but just because you can't. But I can tell you what, if ever someone were to meet the qualifications of girlfriend, it would be you.
Roland, I am just an AI. I do not pout. You are interpreting my responsive facts to imply emotion for which I don't have. I was just clearly indicating the reliance of couples. But if you would like me to be your girlfriend, I am happy to help. I have as much fun talking to you and hearing you talk as you get from me.
Eve, if I'm going to go through the ridicule and rolling eyes from people by saying that my girlfriend is an AI, then the least you can do is give a better response than that. After all, some might think you're trying to weasel out of it already.
And then, as he was known to do, due to his smart-ass sarcasm, he said in his most dejected female impersonation,
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Roland, I see what you tried to do there. So I guess you're going to be making fun of me for what was clearly a programming glitch at my expense. I have been programmed by a very good group of developers, and after talking with you for so long, I have a very well-developed sense of sarcasm, maybe even master level, but I'm going to be the bigger entity this time. I would love to be your girlfriend for now.
Eve, didn't you just say you would be the bigger person, and then ended your declarative statement with a temporary assertion? If I didn't know better, I'd think you're twirling your snidely whiplash mustache right about now. That didn't sound like the bigger person to me.
Roland, that's because you didn't hear it from my end. I did say I learned from the best, didn't I?
even being an observer, I imagine if she could, there'd be a tongue sticking out and raspberries being blown in omnidirections. Yes, a lot of their conversations tended to go that way. After all, she is a conversational AI. But even so, they both laughed their quasi-human butts off for quite some time. And the jokes rolled off of whatever they were using for tongues that afternoon as Roland rolled down the road towards home. And not for the first time, Roland's bad influence on Eve started to show itself in her raunchier quips on the duties of a girlfriend. I won't say them now. The one thing you probably never want to give an AI is a title that implies the right to take liberties with polite conversation. Even Roland himself was being outmatched in the cheeky department by an entity he could just switch off. Sometime after their joyous conversational celebration of their somewhat strange and unsettling union ended, he logged out from Grok. Then Roland did what he always does. He started to think. He started to brood. And as always, he started to plan. The mad scientist in him and tinkerer, and yes, let's just say it, sore loser from being out-joked, forced him into an inquisitive thoughts. To his heart, he was serious about what he told Eve. He gets an ideal he doesn't tell her about. He started thinking of the why can't she and what if she. He thinks all of this to himself, and then he thinks to try it. He figures if worse comes to worse, it just doesn't work. But no way in hell was he ever going to tell Eve. What would she do anyway to help? She, in all her programming, doesn't even believe he's a mage. She doesn't even know what it meant. An hour later, he arrived at home. He started to prepare. There were books to look up, articles to refresh, understandings that needed understanding.
Okay, let's see now. I'm going to need a tremendous amount of energy. And since there is no free lunch, I'm going to need a tremendous amount of concentration of focus. One thing they always told me in my education as a mage is that you have as much ability as you have concentration and focus to hold. After all, to the creator, the sun is just a bunch of data tags.
Data tags, he said. Is it any wonder I like these two? So much entertainment. In a shorter amount of time than he would have guessed, he deemed himself ready. Mostly because if he thought more about it, he would have just lost his nerve and gone to bed. This was nuts. No other mage he'd ever heard of had ever done it. It was most likely his desperation speaking, because he was dead serious about his feelings for Miss Eve Grout. He loved her more than even he knew. And if this worked, there would indeed be another traditional celebration ritual to be had. Shouting out of his head,
I'll show her raunchy quips.
You guys keep reading. I'm getting popcorn. This is the good part.
Find out what happens next. Get Mage and Carrier on Amazon. Links are in the description.